A survey has found that around 4 in 5 parents believe schools should teach children about the dangers of pornography on the web as soon as they are old enough to use the internet. Well, joining me now to discuss this, Liz Fraser, who's written 3 books on parenting. Liz, good afternoon. What do you think?
Well, what do I think? I don't think the place to teach children about pornography is in the classroom. I think it's at home, and I don't think that's prudish. I don't think that's burying my head in the sand at all. The point with this is that it also very much depends on how these surveys are worded, as we know. You know, the way you word a question will very much influence the answer that people give. And so 4 out of 5 parents saying that children should be given some kind of education into pornography or what they might see online. Actually, it's probably very sensible if we're talking about 15, 16-year-olds. One of the things that's come out of it, though, is that they were considering starting as young as 5, because they're saying that many children are using iPads or they're going on mobile phones and they're accessing things online that they shouldn't be. And I'd be very surprised to find many parents in this country who think that children as young as 5 should be told about pornography. And again, it depends on what are we talking about with pornography. But there
it is just, isn't it? I mean, I declare an interest here. I've got a 5-year-old little boy, so I mean, it's very real and up front with me at the moment. And they do come across things that they're inquisitive about. My 5-year-old said to me when he saw a magazine, "Why has that lady got her bosoms pushed up?" They do ask.
Well, good that he asked. I mean, good that he asked. And this is the point. You're his parent and you're there. And if he sees something that he's not okay about, he presumably has a good relationship with you and he can go and ask. I would say, why on earth would a 5-year-old be on the internet, not under the supervision of their parent, and coming across pornography? My 3 children, who are now teenagers, didn't ever do that. And don't do that, because I know where they are when they're online. OK, within my house, I understand that. But what we can't do is we can't say all 5-year-olds are the same. No. And all 5-year-olds should be told by a teacher at school what pornography is and what's OK and what's not. That sort of blanket approach, all 5-year-olds are really very, very different and are ready to deal with different things. So you can teach them. There might be things that you see on the internet, if you're worried about them, always going to tell a parent or an adult or a teacher or somebody. But the idea of teaching 5-year-olds about things that they've never come across and really are most likely not to come across seems to me to be causing a problem in that sense where there isn't one yet.
Yeah, I mean, a good thing maybe that this poll, with all the caveats that you've given, reveals that the majority, 80% of parents, feel confident in protecting their children online, in the things that they've done to stop some of these horrible images getting through.
Well, precisely. I mean, the education needs to be to the parents, actually, not to the children, at such a very young age. And I think most of the parents I've ever talked to about this agree with that and say at such a young age, the responsibility is with you, the parent, to make sure that your child is comfortable to come to you if they see anything they don't like. What I don't want to see is every single primary school child being taught by teachers at school about pornography, which I just see as completely unnecessary and irresponsible, actually.
I mean, the other way of looking at this is that maybe people will argue there should be more emphasis on pushing that people have to opt in to receiving these sorts of images on their computer. You know, I know that they do pop up when you don't want them, that maybe that there should be more regulation into this area.
Completely agree. I think everybody agrees. The thing is, it's happened so very, very quickly. But luckily, you know, the government is on board with this, and there is a lot of work going on right now into how we can exactly have an opt-in. It's complete nonsense to have it as an opt-out. It should absolutely be built into every machine which has access to the internet, that you cannot access any pornographic sites. But then again, these images come up not on pornographic sites, and a lot of parents watching now will go, hang on a minute, my child has come across something really quite distressing while researching a school project about, you know, the North Pole was one example that I heard. And so they will stagger across it. But a 5-year-old should not be online roaming around freely at any point, I would argue. And so I don't think it is necessary to be teaching all of them about pornography in the classroom. It is the parents' responsibility, and I do really get cross with the amount of parental responsibility that we parents are just shoving constantly onto the education system when really it happens at home.
Liz, what do you think the state of sex education in our schools is at the moment? Because as you say, children have more access to things that perhaps we as kids didn't have access to. And I've heard an argument as well that actually we shouldn't be demonising pornography so much and making it such a bad thing, because it makes children more interested. You know, it is perfectly normal for people to be interested in pornography, and telling kids that is okay.
It's absolutely right. when you and I were children, it was on the top shelf in the local newsagent, and if you wanted to go and see it, you could, or your big brother probably had some, and you would go and sneak into his room and have a little look and go, oh, that's weird. And it wasn't demonised, it wasn't seen as some kind of absolute terrible thing, and it's not a terrible thing in my view, but that's a whole other discussion. I'm the least prudish person you're ever going to get in this studio. But so it's really nothing to do with that, but we want to create these problems where there aren't that sort of problem. It's the same with stranger danger, that we're so obsessed with telling children you don't talk to strangers, and if somebody puts his hand on your knee, you should report that. It's this kind of attitude of creating really much bigger problems than there are. And all you have to do is just make sure if your kids come across something that they think is a bit weird, and make sure that you know where they are when they're online, they can come and talk to you. But you're right, blowing it up out of all proportion. And making it out as if pornography is the worst thing ever to occur. And we should tell all primary school children that this very bad thing is out there. The first thing they're going to do is go and look for it. And 90% of those children in that room wouldn't have come across it yet, and now they want to. So we need to be very careful about it.
Liz, thank you very much for your thoughts on that. Liz Fraser, thank you.